So, especially after Jeddah and with Esteban and Fernando and starting at the grid, I feel like almost exhausted the topic of not lining up correctly on the grid as a penalty. And then I saw photos online from multiple angles of Max lined up, not lined up, past the line. I can't figure out why the way that Max had lined up was not a penalty, but then Esteban and Fernando so clearly was.
Yeah. So we could probably call this entire show this segment, but this segment is we read the rules for you. And I'm going to read the rule right now that I unfortunately had to look up to figure out why Max wasn't penalized, but Esteban and Alonso were. And hopefully this will help, or we'll just continue to be confused. So there are 3 different ways you can be penalized for an incorrect starting location. A is I'm not even going to read this. You moved too early. You jump started. Think we all get that one. B, you position your car in a way where the transponder that's reading your start time can't read your start time. So basically, again, a secondary false start because they can't even judge whether or not you false started. But then part C is what we're talking about here. And it's any part of the contact patch of its front tires outside the lines, front and sides, at the time of the start signal. I'll read it one more time because a lot of words mumbled. Any part of the contact patch of its front tires outside of the lines, front and sides, at the time of the start signal. So essentially what this is saying is that the contact patch of the tire needs to be outside the lines, which can be inferred as if any part of the tire's contact patch is touching the lines, then it's in. Tennis rules, essentially. So if except it's tennis rules, except they haven't implemented the technology for the replay. So essentially interpreting the rules that way, because so much of F1 is interpreting the rules that way, if outside means not touching the line, now you could argue that the grid lines are pretty thick, so outside could mean theoretically also touching the line, but I'm interpreting them the way the FIA applied the rules this week, which is as long as the front tires both have contact patches on the line, technically the rules are followed. Max was definitely playing with fire, though, because when you see the video, he stops correctly in the grid and then chose to inch forward to get that little edge, which is totally fair. But if he literally just little breath, he would have been against the rules according to the rules. But that is unbelievably confusing still. And again, why did I have to look up the rules so many times this week?
So, can it be like a one tires touching? Or is it like both have to be like only touching a little bit? Like, it just seems like there's so much like interpretation, perspective.
My understanding, and hold on, now I have to reread it again. My understanding is that the difference between Alonso and Ocon's penalties is that one of their tires was out the side and was not touching. Therefore, so I think you need both tires inside or touching, not outside, because because it says tires. So any part of the contact patch of its front tires. So the tires cannot be outside of the line. And they're interpreting that as if one tire is touching the line, but the other one is not, then you're outside the lines because you're supposed to be within your grid slot.
Why can't it just be like, be in front of white line of grid slot?
Well, my whole thing is, why can't you just implement the technology to do this? Like, this shouldn't be a steward needs to go there and like zoom in on the image, like, oh,
Yes.
what is yeah.
Goes on Twitter, like zooms in from every grandstand perspective.
Right, that's essentially what they do a lot of the time. When, again, tennis, like, we can figure out if a tennis ball touches a fraction of a smaller white line. So I really think we can put sensors in these tires to figure this out. I know that technology is there.
F1 is too poor. F1 is, they
Oh,
don't
yeah.
have the money. They cannot spend the money. Can't do it. Nope.
But
Nope.
there you go. We read the regulations for you. Hopefully it's slightly clearer if you're listening right now. And if it's not, we're just as confused as you.
Thank you so much for listening to this segment from episode 11 of Gridwalk. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more videos. Also, you made it this far in the video. Go check out the full podcast. Go listen to the rest of it. You can click right here for the full thing.